Hey everybody, I get a lot of questions on accredited investors. What are they? What do they have access to that everybody else doesn't, right? Where is this little special club coming from? Well, let's define what it is. An accredited investor is an individual or business that meets certain requirements and is allowed to buy and sell securities that are that are not registered with financial authorities, with the SEC or anybody else. These are unregulated private investments. That's what they are. Okay. And so you have to meet a certain criteria. And when we look at this, the reason behind this is the accreditation requirement is meant to make sure that investors in private securities have either the financial sophistication to evaluate the risks and merits of the investment or sufficient wealth to bear the economic consequences of loss. Okay. So you got to be smart enough to invest in these things, and you got to have the money to lose. That's the reality of this. That's why they want this, because they're not scrutinizing me as investments. They expect you to. That's what this is all about. So the U.S. securities laws restrict most private market investments into two categories of investors: accredited investors and qualified purchasers. Okay. Individuals and entities. That's really what that actually meant. Okay. So accredited investors have to meet income and wealth thresholds set by the SEC, or hold certain financial sector certificates. They got to be a financial advisor like me. Qualified purchaser is an entity, and they have to have at least $5 million in assets. So let's look through these criteria more specifically. For individuals, this is where most of us are really looking at this. The entities usually know whether they are or not. So the individual's investable net worth, $1 million. That's all you need to meet the criteria to be a qualified investor. So $1 million, but it doesn't include your house. You got to have, let's call it liquid. I call it investable net worth. Income, you can override that $1 million if you have more than $200,000 a year for the last 2 years. Okay. If you're an individual, if you're married, it's got to be over $300,000 joint income for the past 2 years. So those are the two criteria to become an accredited investor. And then they waive those criteria for people with Series 7, 65, or 82. The legitimate securities licensing they allow to invest in all of these private investments. And then there are special there's special criteria for private fund employees, basically. If you are considered a knowledgeable employee, an employee of the private investment, then you're allowed to invest in there as well. So they waive all the previous criteria for that. So those are individuals. So it's a little easier than most people think, right? Now, who qualifies? For institutions, well, that's pretty easy. It's $5 million in total assets. They waive the financial criteria, but if a bank doesn't have $5 million in assets, or insurance company or registered investment company, we got a problem. Registration, if they are SEC registered broker dealers, investment advisors, they can invest in these. And then if the entity is owned by accredited investors, then they can invest in these private investments. So let's look at this. What do they get? Well, accredited investors have access to investments like venture capital, hedge funds, private equity, angel investments, shares in businesses before they go public. Remember the secretary from Microsoft getting rich, and all the first employees got rich from that. There is a new category called equity multiple, which is crowdfunded real estate. The cool one I saw out there was Masterworks. They call it Masterworks because it's fractional ownership in fine art. I think we just saw in an auction, there was some famous painting just went for hundreds of millions of dollars. It's insane. And how it was a 15-minute auction. And then all the private placement investments. So all these investment categories, they're all private investments. That means that they're unaudited. Somebody can create a private investment, create a whole bunch of investment materials and hand it out to everybody, tell them how wonderful it is. There's nobody verifying it. So the important part is understanding that private REITs, private lending, the hard money lending, all that stuff is risk. Okay? It can work out. You can earn a lot of money, and a lot of very wealthy people invest a lot of money this way, but they understand that some of them work, some of them don't work. And that's very important to understand. So the Securities and Exchange Commission uses the term accredited investor in Reg D, which is the private investment world, to describe investors who are financially sophisticated and have a reduced need for regulatory disclosure filings. Do your own due diligence. If you have an advisor recommending private investments, then that advisor really needs to understand what's going on there. Maybe actually visit the investment firm and see that firsthand that this is all real. Whether it's a portfolio of real estate or anything else, you've got to check into the logistics of this and make sure it's real. So important out there. And you have to understand that you are putting 100% of that deposit into risk, meaning you could lose 100% of that money. You could also hit it off the planet, make lots of money. Okay. So you have to understand that level of risk in this world of investing. So if somebody's trying to get you to sign off on being an accredited investor, if you don't understand you can lose 100% of that money, you are not an accredited investor. You have to be financially savvy enough to understand that. Okay? 100% money at risk when you're investing in any of these investments. Very, very important to understand that. All right, I hope that helps everybody, whether it was a PSA, just kind of public service announcement or not. Accredited investing world, there's a lot of fantastic, wonderful ways to invest out there. And you just have to do your due diligence and make sure that it's legitimate and real. Yourinvestmentcounselor.com. If you want to meet with me or anybody else in our group, jump on Your Investment Counselor. You can do a 30-minute meet and greet or just go straight to hourly appointments. FPFEAZ.org is our nonprofit organization. We run our full classes through. If you want to register for the full classes, we do them live via Zoom all month. Every month is a different topic. And subscribe to the channel, give us a call, whatever we can do to help. We love doing this. Thanks all. We'll see you next week.